And here we are. I am John McDavitt, and I'm going to be sharing about the mural that I designed and painted for the Downers Grove Library. I believe this was in 2016. Can you imagine? That was a while ago. Mrs. Maggie Capitini asked me if I would be able to share with you my process, and I'm really excited about that. So here's me standing next to the finished mural, and you can see, everything going on in the mural. There was a lot there. So how do we arrive at this? How do we get from nothing to something? Well, let's start with this. It starts with the library calling me and telling me, hey, we would like to do a mural on this wall. And they really didn't know exactly what they wanted to do, except that I had painted for them before. And they asked me if I'd come back. So that's always nice to be asked back. And I knew that the mural needed to be something that would be enjoyable for all ages, but especially from toddler ages to eighth grade, middle school. And I knew that it couldn't be too baby. I knew that it couldn't be too, kind of older. That could be scary, right, for kids. So I ended up coming up with this concept where we have a shot of Downers Grove from above, and there's Chicago in the background. So it kind of told us where we were at. And I also wanted to have this is like a callback to a mural I did for Downers Grove years ago where we had a cityscape. And so that was going to be kind of fun because it's not there anymore. It was going to be fun to do something that I had done a little bit before, just to remind people and kind of say, hey, this is something that have been done before, and it's an homage is what it's called. You can ask Mrs. Capitini what that means. But then I thought, okay, well, how can I get a whole bunch of different interesting things into this mural? And I thought, well, why don't we have books flying out of the library, and the books are opening up, and then we can have a dinosaur with goggles on, we can have a teddy bear, we can have a schoolgirl, we can have a whale, all these things. And so that gave me the opportunity to have some real fun with the subject matter. So after this image, we're going to get into some color. So I paint these in my computer. These are digital, and I painted them in Photoshop. So I just wanted to get a broad idea of color. I didn't even know what characters we're going to use yet, except I knew that we were not going to do the whale. And so I started to bring some different elements into it, like the dolphin. And then this was a sword, but somebody thought, is that a submarine? So I knew I was going to need to clarify some things, but you can see the night and the working of the book. And then I moved on, and there were a few different iterations of this. I had done several. I was maybe going to put in the Three Little Pigs there. I have a storybook thing to go along with Jack and the Beanstalk, but this was kind of it. This was the decision in the coloration and pretty much where the elements were going to go. We knew we would have the man on the moon and all that. So then it was time to make the next part of the plan, which involved taking that image and making a grid. And so you can see that I've made it black and white as well. And the reason why I do that is I want to see all the highlights and shadows. We call those values. And so I numbered 1 through 10 across and A through G down. And then I knew if I laid out the same kind of grid on my wall, I knew that I would put the knight's face in A4. So let me go on to show you what some of that gridding looked like. So you can see that I put these squares on the wall that corresponded back to this. So they were perfectly square, and there were the same amount of squares, and I knew exactly where they would go. Now you can see I'm starting to put pencil in to the mural, and you can see all the different pencil work that I'm doing. And now here's a better picture of all the grid work, okay? All the grid work that's going on. You can see the rocket, and I'm able to get more detail in with the pencil, and got the octopus, and I decided he was going to have a paintbrush and a paint bucket, and we've got our ballerina playing violin over here in Chicago down below. And so it went on, drawing and drawing and drawing. And there's our surprised looking knight and the dragon in the book, and then more of the city. This took a little bit more work because I wanted the perspective to be just so. And then we started to get into color. And you're thinking to yourself, maybe, why are you using red? Why are you using this color? Well, this was a deep red brown, and I use this as my underpainting. And so what this helped me to do was to be able to get the shadows and the highlights under the color first before I went to final. So I would kind of layer these light colors on top of one another. And so I was getting a nice shadow and highlight picture going on. You can see I moved all around, right? I just moved all around. And it was a lot of fun just to kind of keep going and see the characters come to life. And then once I had all of that shading in, that under painting, then I could go to color. And I could start to add some of my colors. And you can see I don't start with the final colors, right? Like this green back here isn't exactly the same green that's in the final, because I'm layering and layering and layering these colors, and I just keep on working them slowly so that I can end up with something that is really, really rich in color. And you can see that I used a lot of yellow in here, and that's because I was thinking that the sun was over on this side and the moon was over here. So we'd have blues meeting yellows, and it gave us a real contrast in all of our colors. And then we're getting much closer to the end here. And what I'll do at this point is I'll take a photo of the mural, because I want to see what it looks like in black and white. And it tells me what parts are jumping out and what parts are not. Like, we're really jumping out here. This is good. This is good. All of this is pretty good. The octopus is a little flat here, so he was going to need a little bit of a push. She's still in the works. The Tyrannosaurus Rex and this cloud are very close, even though, one's kind of reddish and one is blue. It means that in black and white, the values are the same, so I would need to pop that a little bit. So that's what I did. And I continued on, adding colors to these. You can see I added blues, the blue light from the moon to the back of our night, and then if the sun is hitting this way, I've got the highlights of the sun catching on his armor, and you can see I'm starting to add more color down below here, and then we start to get into a finish. We start to finish things up, and I've got highlights and more details and little blues catching on this side of the night, on this side of the rivets, and yellows and highlights catching on this side of our night. And then we get to our octopus, and again, he's got a lot of the yellows and the highlights on this side, and then some of the blues and the cools on this side. And I would get up and walk all around and take a good look at what I was doing until, I could stand back and see how's everything working together. And that's what I do as I work. And then, we get to that finished mural, and then we get to celebrate it. I get to have my son there with me and get some pictures. And I had a whole bunch of friends come along to be with me. And that was just a blast. It was so much fun. We end up with our final mural and get to celebrate it. So that's how I did the mural. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you learned a lot, and I hope you go paint some of your own murals. We'll see ya.